time for Tom's Real Food Podcast.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Keto Clean Eating. Tommy Spice. Spice up your life with Tommy Spice. Every Wednesday, Tom Garber, the Keto Cook. Every Sunday, the Sunday Dinner Chef. Saturdays, Meg's Mysteries. And today's guest, Charlie from Cooking Secrets for Men. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Tom Garber, the Keto Cook. Today on Tom's Real Food Podcast, I'm bringing up an old friend who actually started with, was on YouTube before I started and helped me along a little bit. And we became really good friends. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring up Charlie from Cooking Secrets for Men. Charlie, how you doing, buddy?
Fine. Am I an old friend or a friend who's old? I want to just.
No, I'm the old guy. You're an old friend.
Okay, good. Okay.
Like that. How you doing, partner?
Good. Thank you very much. You have a good Thanksgiving?
Yes, I did. Everything was fine. I had the daughter and the two grandsons over. Mm-hmm. And before we start, I got to tell you a quick story. It was nice to they're 17. He's 17 and 23. The two guys. Okay.
Right.
Now it's the time of my life where I hear them talk about me. Okay, the things that they thought about how Pop did things.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just crazy. It was funny as hell. We had a really good time. So what I want to do, Charlie, is I want you to tell your story. I want you to. We are all food related. We're foodies. Okay, you like to cook, but you took it a little step further, and I want you to explain a little bit of how your channel started and what you're up to right now. I know you got something working.
Yeah, always trying to to expand and to learn new ways of doing things just kind of growing a little bit. But so I started doing this going back probably 10 years. Starting to approach an age where you think about what's the next chapter? Where's your, what are you going to do when you retire? What are you going to do as you get older? So my wife said, well, you like to cook and you like to write. So why don't you write a food blog? So I did. And I had no idea what I was doing. So I was on WordPress and I did I had it's called Cooking Secrets for Men because the statistics say that 77% of the men or the chefs in restaurant are men, but most men don't cook. Why is that? And I've cooked all my life, as have you. We grew up and I didn't in the same level of restaurants as you, but I worked in restaurants. I worked in my family-owned restaurants. I was always comfortable in the kitchen. And I just didn't think that putting a meal on the table on a weeknight was a big deal. I just think it's a skill like any other skill. So I started writing in that vein writing to men, writing to people who were not just men, but people who were not cooks that feel comfortable in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And so I did that, and it was, horrible at first. I had no idea what I was doing. And, eventually I started figuring it out a little bit. I did some restaurant reviews. I did some how to do things. And at some point, my oldest son came to me. So he was probably early 20s at the time. Said, Dad, you need to be on YouTube. I said, YouTube? Oh, come on, get out of here. He said, no, you got to be there. I said, okay. So I did a couple of really low budget, low level how to slice an onion, how to slice an avocado. All you can see with my hands, like disembodied hands. And I had a similar story as I was started to go forward, which made me examine what the equipment I was using is. So I had a phone. I put the phone as I'm looking down over cooking a pot of stew or chili. I don't even know what it was. And it didn't fall in as yours did, but the heat stopped the camera from rolling. So I did this whole thing. I'm going on, and I go to rewind it, see how I did this. It recorded for about 2 minutes. I'm thinking, oh, geez. So then I went and got a small little camera and a video camera and have added to it. And after about a year or two of doing it with little or no success, my son says, "Dad, you gotta be in front of the camera." I said, "No, no, no, I don't want to be in front of the camera. No, no, no." But then little by little, I did, and I just kind of became more comfortable, and kind of found my footing along the way, and just it's morphed into what it is today, and I enjoy. I'm a teacher at heart, so I like explaining why, like you do, why something. I'm not just saying, put this here, put this here. You're explaining why you do something, why it works, why this and not that. And I've always felt that's part of understanding cooking is to understand, why do you do it this way? Why does it make sense? Why is this the best, easiest, smartest way to do something? Not that I am, but this is a way that I have come across to say, if you do it this way, you can make it work.
Yeah.
So just I try to teach, and that's why my videos are so long on some of the cooking ones, because I'm not putting together a 2 or 3 minute video. I'm explaining why we're doing something.
You were one of the bigger influences with me, as far as I'm try not to be no nonsense. Hurry up, put it down, and then different things that I read into, especially on YouTube. 8 minutes or less to do, to make a video to keep the, and you listen, you read into this kind of stuff, and it's all bullcrap. Okay,
Yeah.
so you were the one who actually turned around and said, if this is going to take an hour, do it. Somebody will watch it. I mean, and you hit the nail on the head with it. You know what I mean? What I like about what you do is it's got a little great sense of humor with it. Okay, and you bring it to the level where, I didn't know that, or wow, let me try it that way. Charlie has a way of doing it this way, and it makes it a little bit more easier for the novice, for the person who hasn't worked in a restaurant, who wants to cook something at home, and you make it a little bit more easier for them to understand.
I try, and I appreciate that. But I think that's how you learn. You're not going to learn doing, gourmet stuff and very intricate recipes, so that will turn you off. But if I can teach you how to doctor a frozen pizza, or how to, fix pasta an easier way, then you'll be more inclined to at least try it. And then after you've tried it a couple times, it's not so difficult.
Yeah,
So,
I made a hollandaise sauce in 30 seconds. Rather than 45 minutes.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
and that's the whole nuts and bolts of the whole operation here. To entertain, but yet still get your point across.
Well, and you had Kevin on from Man Kitchen Recipes a couple weeks ago, and he, to me, has the same type of personality, that he's a teacher. He's explaining. He's got and he is as genuine as a human being as you could possibly uh, run across. He is exactly who he is, in front of the camera, behind the camera, at work, wherever. He's just a nice guy who does videos and likes to explain what he's doing. And I, as you know, we both followed him, and picked up a lot of tips and stuff from him over the years. So I appreciate both him as a person, as a content creator.
Hmm. What I like is he thinks out of the box, thinks on his feet. He'll take one thing and turn it into something else, and that's the whole idea of it. And like I said to him, I said that's the basis of a recipe.
Right.
Okay.
He said something that cracked me up. He said, how many? I think it was a brisket. He said, how many different ways can you cook a brisket? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
and a lot of those barbecue channels, that's what they cook. I'm going to try a brisket on this side of the grill and see what happens, and I'm going
Hmm.
to cook a brisket on that side of the grill, and maybe I'm going to turn the temperature up to 450 and see what happens. And it's
Yeah.
just okay. You got to.
Today
And
when
Kevin doesn't do that. That's Kevin. It was a barbecue guy, but he started doing, and that's one of the things I point out when I comment on this stuff. I said, "This is why you're interesting." because you do things that are different. And yeah,
I told Kevin, I said, you know what? I said, here's was the attraction for me. When you got on your earlier videos, when you got done, you covered up all your
yeah,
barbecue grills like you putting them to bed.
right. I thought that was great, and I always loved when he first brought out Brad, his cousin Brad. I thought that was just the most unique way for an amateur to put a video together. And I'm thinking, this guy he's having a good old time, and
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah, great guy. I had a lot of so far a lot of great people on that understand food. They're not afraid. That's the point
Right.
that I'm trying to make with people. Whether I do keto, whether I do the Sunday dinner chef, whatever, it all evolves around food. My my way of thinking is what brings people together is food, music. End of story.
Right.
Okay, you could solve a lot of problems sitting around picking at some food and listening to some music. I mean, it's that simple, you know.
Well, that's part of one of my shows is two people sitting around talking and eating, and it's like you're watching two people sitting in a bar.
Yeah.
The camera's facing these people sitting in a bar, taking a little lunch and talking about whatever.
So let's evolve into that section of it because I thought that was brilliant the way you did it. That's how long I know you. is you went from from the cooking side, which you still do. I mean, you do the collaborations and stuff. But once I started seeing you, what is it, munching around Milwaukee, right?
That's the cooking the foodie podcast.
Okay, so that's what I thought was very interesting. Explain to everybody how you actually got into that part
Well,
of it.
I'll bet to back up. So I've been doing a podcast called Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders for about 3.5 years or so, and that's where I have community leaders come in. We talk about their work in the community. Then they have a recipe that they prepare. I sous chef, and then we eat it. And we sit around and we talk about when we're eating it, whatever's going on.
I will leave a link in the description box down here for Charlie's channel and everything else that he does.
So that morphed into I became friends with on social media, on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, where of people in the food business because they watched what we were doing and they thought it was good. So I said these chefs became friends, and again, my son, the genius, said, Dad, you ought to do something with all these chefs who are your friends. So I said, yeah, that'd be interesting to have a
Mhm.
more foodie based, not instead of community leaders, people who are in the food business, because that's, as you point out, food is one of the things that brings people together. So I called a couple of the influencers that I know who are big time in the city, and a couple chefs, and they said sure. And most of them I found out, they've done hundreds of interviews, so this is just no big deal. To me, it was this huge get. I was like, I got so and so, and they're thinking, yeah, but then I got a guy who has a meal delivery service called Fresh Chef Meal Prep here in Milwaukee. He's a local chef. He started this, so he provides food as our sponsor for when we have a non-chef. So we always have food. So when the chef comes, this is the genius. It was not meant to. I didn't really think of this as a way to do it, but the chefs now bring food from their restaurants when they come to the show. And I think they watch each other's podcasts and say, "Oh, well, he brought Wagyu beef. Well, I got to up him." And they start bringing, it's grown into this thing where people are bringing food and feeding me twice a week. But I try to keep it under half an hour. Talk about how we got from A to B. Where'd you come from? What was you talk to them and you find out there's a lot of through lines where they have worked for a lot of the same chefs. They've got the same background. There's in football or basketball, there's coaching trees, the Larry Brown coaching tree in basketball or the Don Shula coaching tree. Or there's the same thing for chefs.
Mhm.
There's these chef trees where these famous, well-known, award-winning chefs have ones that work for them, and then those go off and start their own thing. and it's very interesting to see how those people have morphed and the styles they develop and the way they run their restaurants it's fascinating to me. Um, and it's become people call to be on the show, so I'm fielding calls to have people come on, which I appreciate it, but it
Hmm.
also makes my job a lot easier. I really am, just kind of trying to make sure I'm not doing too much and then overwhelming everybody.
And from what I take from what I watch and stuff, from what I my takeaway is it's a lot younger crowd
Yeah,
that you're dealing with, and that to me is whether they went to culinary school or not, just their techniques and what they do and how they talk, where they came from, and I don't care. I don't care what kind of type of restaurant you work in. Okay, you have to cater to whatever people come in, your clientele coming in. So you could be a Michelin star chef, okay? And if they want food in your area a certain way, okay, you gotta push that Michelin star away and deal
right.
with your people to stay alive today. I don't know how they do it actually. Uh,
The commonality to me is that the customer service and the experience that people have when they go to a restaurant are the most important things. The food is usually always pretty good,
mhm.
but it's the experience. Is how are they being taken care of? How are they? Are they greeted at the door? Are they you know served quickly? Is there communication with the staff? Are people coming by to see what's going on? And you throw in a great meal, then the experience is what drives people to not only come back but to talk about it. And the unintended genius part of having the younger people on is that they're all on social media, so
Right.
they're all out promoting what I'm doing, which is it's an unintended consequence, but I'm very grateful. So they take and they just put it all over the place, and they have their own, and then that gets spread out to shared to different social media things, and it just kind of grows.
Yeah, see, and to me, to me, that's a big to do because let's face it, Charlie, we were around before computers were invented.
Yeah,
Okay, and
pretty
then
much.
all of a sudden, how we took to social media and also YouTube and stuff like that. Okay, I mean, almost phenomenal. I mean, the way it worked. So
Yeah,
now, all of a sudden, dealing with a bunch of young chefs coming in and questioning them and stuff like that. That to me is fantastic. That brings the gap together.
yeah.
Okay.
They're not intimidated at all because they're out in front of the public all day long. I have to tell you what. When I the first time I used a computer, I was in an office and I was clueless. And they said, I said, well, how do you move this? Oh, use your mouse. I said, okay. So I took the mouse and went like this. On, I said, it's not working. What's happening? And they said, no, no, no. That's not how that works.
Right.
I re- that's how
It's
much I knew about computers.
it's amazing, you know what I mean? And as far as the reach that you get, okay, I mean it's unbelievable. That's why I particularly say that three times fast, like the way you do things, especially with the integration of the younger to the older. Okay, they bring you in the food, they explain about their situations, the whole bit, and the camaraderie is really uh, now I've been to Milwaukee many years ago. All right, and back when I would go through Milwaukee, I would pass through. I mean, not long, but it was kind of a tough town,
Yeah,
and
very industrial. Very.
yeah.
There, it was a lot of manufacturing in an industrial town for sure.
So now to think about just listening to your podcast and watching your videos and stuff, it that's basically gone, but there seems to be a little bit more uh, cohesive as far as you talk about the market there. You talk about the one that really stuck out to me was the gentleman who started his own farm.
Uh huh. Oh yeah.
Okay, and it's
First
all
door
indoors.
creek.
It's all
Yeah.
the hydroponics. It's all
Right.
indoors, right?
Yeah.
That was amazing to me. Uh, and to see how the community, especially the restaurants, buy his stuff.
Yeah, it's
That's
amazing because I will go into, having had a bunch of the chefs on, they know me and they see me, they come over and talk to me when I'm in, and they said, "Hey, I saw you had Chris Corkery on, who owns 100 Acre Farm,
Mhm.
or 100 Acre is actually 100 Acre Hydroponic Farm." So I said, "So you buy from us?" "Oh yeah." I said, "It costs more, but if I buy basil today, it's not bad in 2 or 3 days. It lasts for weeks. The lettuce
that's
lasts for weeks. It's high quality. So yeah, I'm paying a little more up front, but I'm not throwing any away, and it can make it last longer throughout the week and the eating cycle."
yeah.
So I said, "Yeah, that guy knows what
That
he's
that's a big that's a big plus, especially with the prices today. I still go back to that. I mean, as far as what we are paying as consumers, but even in a restaurant setting,
doing." Right.
okay, it can be devastating to a business.
Oh,
Um,
for sure. Absolutely.
but that really stuck out in my mind because it brought me back in time to uh, our restaurant and stuff like that. I had a local. I never forget one night I ordered everything through our purveyor, and the truck was late, and that goofed me up for the evening.
Right.
Okay, so what I did was I reached out to this local farmer who actually had everything that I needed. So I made a deal with him that we would do daily. I would want a delivery the whole bit. And later on, when I moved to another restaurant, okay, I was involved in another restaurant. I brought him down with me. So the prices were a little higher because the travel,
Right.
this and that, but the quality was right there. So that's more reassuring than anything. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you quality ingredients is one of the through lines for most of the better places to eat wherever you are. If
Hmm.
if stuff's coming out of a can, it tastes like it's coming out of a can, and the stuff that's fresh. And if you're by the ocean, if it was swimming there, yesterday or the day before, it's fresh. It's hard to beat good quality ingredients.
Hmm.
And in cooking. It just
Yeah.
is.
The thing that gets me the attraction, okay, of watching you and stuff like that, is the interest of the people that you not you.
Oh, okay.
It's the it's the interest that the other chefs have with other restaurants.
Right.
Okay, that to me is fantastic, and that helps everybody. The
Well, there's a
rising tide.
yeah, absolutely. There's a collaborative um, feeling with all the. We have several celebrity chefs that have been on TV,
Mhm.
um, and are across the nation. Others that are just well known because they're James Beard Award winners and whatever. Um, but if there's an event, and there's several events, you know, one or two events a month, some 18, 20 chefs or whatever, and all the big names will be there.
Yeah.
And if they have an event, everybody that they call their friends and then they go to that. And this is across the board. And then they've started to bring in people who worked for them before. Now they bring in their stuff in. It's just there's a very much a collaborative effort. And I like to tell this story. And I just had this guy on Wednesday. His name's Kyle Nall. He runs a restaurant called Birch, which is perpetually one of the top restaurants in town. And he's part Italian, so
Hey,
uh,
forget about it.
forget about it. But he was at our Festa Italia here in down on the Summerfest grounds here, and I'm standing in the back with a couple of the chefs that I know and people who are running businesses in the food. So we're just standing there, and I see this guy is a chef named Adam Pollock. Now Adam Pavlik, and Adam is one of the celebrity chefs. He's got a beard and he's all tatted up, and he's been on a bunch of Food Network shows, um, and he's up there helping Kyle, just putting plates out, and he's not part of the show. He's just there helping because he likes Kyle, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to help." And this guy's he's big time in terms of his place in the city and his stature. And I just think that that's part of what makes this community interesting. It's Midwest values, and they don't mind helping because they're not. They are in competition, but they're not,
Right.
because you're not going to go to the same restaurant night after night after night. You're just not. You get different places. And so to me, that is a story I like to tell because it's interesting based on the personalities, but it's also interesting that a guy just shows up at a festival and says, "Yeah, I'll help you out." What can I do?
Yeah, and that is always been that way, but obviously back in the day, no computer or advertising that, but that was always the way to make sure that somebody else was going to get going because competition makes business better,
Right,
no matter how you add it up. So, I mean, if I started making pizzas back in our restaurant, the guy in the pizzeria down the road from me would come in and say, "Tomatoes isn't that good." Okay, and then we're okay, this and that. Never said stop doing pizza.
right,
You're killing me. But they would say, "Whew, went to Garvey's pub the other night. Pizza's no good." That's what brings my outlook on it. Okay, that would be like him doing prime rib and lobster at a pizzeria. Can be done, but just it just wouldn't work.
right.
So the younger generation of chefs and stuff, even out here it is they're hurting. They really are. But the thing of it is that's on the strip, not local.
Ah,
Okay. So there's a place up the road from us that we frequent a lot. Okay, it's the Tuscany Grill,
right,
and I told the story 100 times. But I walk in, hey, how you doing? That's that keto guy. No potatoes and pasta for him. They give you that. Okay, so it's how they get along with their customers. Okay,
right.
and you pointed out too a couple places that you go into that, well, let me try this. We'll give this a try, and they're all like, well, what'd you think? What'd you think? That's the interesting part for the customer. Once they show that kind of compassion, okay, you're going to go back to that place.
Yeah, it's
So
it's the experience that they try to sell, and they don't shy away from. I mean,
yeah,
they want the customers because the food scene has been so elevated here over the last 10 plus years. You have a myriad of places that you go into. You go, I'd go back there. And we're not a big town. I mean, we're a medium-sized U.S. city. Um, but you you have to stay in step with how things are going. You can't just rest on your laurels and stagnate, or you'll get left behind. So there's this constant feeling that we gotta up our game.
that's the difference between Milwaukee here and I'm going to say Henderson. Okay, because there is downtown Henderson now, which had a blight on them. Okay, they just almost went belly up. Let's put it that way.
Uh,
But the town fathers, they figured something out where rather than taking buildings down or boarding them up, they opened up all different types. It's on Water Street, is what it is. Okay, at the end they have an amphitheater. Really did a great job on it. And there's a wine and it's like a little bistro type of thing where you can go in and get appetizers and stuff like that. And
uh,
it's a wine bar basically. It's an old bank. Okay, where the tellers were. Okay, behind that is where the bar is. Okay, and in the lobby they have tables and chairs. I mean, it was just I'm saying, whew, they didn't do nothing.
right?
Just opened it up and put a kitchen in.
Somebody had to have a vision there
Exactly, exactly.
to at least think about how can we reimagine this space.
And now you can't get a reservation there. You just
Yeah.
can't. You know what I mean? Have all different types of wines and stuff. So when we were there, I said to the owner, I knew the guy. I says, "Hey, do you keep your wines in the vault?" He went, "Absolutely." But I mean, what a great idea.
Yeah.
And all the different little shops down. There's one guy now that just opened up, and there was like a series, three or four different stores, and they put in a like an Italian deli with the door opening up to seats where you can sit down and eat, and then at the other end, a bar where they play music and stuff. Another great idea. So
Yeah.
they revitalized it back, but what was it? Food, wine, and music.
Absolutely.
Basically, what did it. So, and I feel from your channel, the way you talk about it and stuff like that, I feel Milwaukee has the same type of vibe, the same type of scene.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they had a couple of high end places, but it was it's kind of There's nothing great, but it's a very poor city in many respects. Um, but as things started to revitalize and areas started to come up, there's a whole group of this younger, as you point out, younger chefs who say, "I'm going to start my own place. I know I can get that place cheap, and I have all this background from all these people I've worked with. This is the concept I'm going for." And they'll go in, and people would love it, and then it brings in another place down the road, and another one on the next block, and then there's a store, and then so it's it kind of feeds upon itself. And I feel lucky to live in a city that does that, and it's just expanding throughout the breadth of um, the greater metropolitan area here.
And to stop and think that you're right smack dab in the middle of it. Okay, I mean, I love it. I mean, I think we go down to Water Street. I tell Marie, "Ooh, look, there's a building there." No, no, that type of thing. So, getting back to the community leaders, you do a thing of 40, 40 under.
40 under 40, right? The Milwaukee Business Journal has a list every year of the 40 under 40 emerging leaders within the community and a wide uh, breadth of nonprofit and for profit and their personalities in the media. And but it's all, you have to be under 40 years old, and they're
Mhm.
nominated by other peers within. So, and that's yeah, I've been kind of um, mining that uh, list for people. A lot of them I do know. Actually, I know personally, um, and those are the ones that I target first. And then they see their compatriots on the list, see them, and they go, "Oh, I want to do that," and then
Yeah,
they want to come on, and you know, so it just kind of works.
yeah. I think it's a great outlet, especially for the area, and especially with you. The way you can conduct it, you ask the questions, let them go a little bit like that, and then they cook.
Yeah,
That's a great concept. To
I'll tell you how that came about. So again, this is one of those unintended consequences. So back in the pandemic, we were watching Selena Plus Chef. Selena Gomez I think
Mhm.
she still has a show, but it's called Selena Plus Chef, where she is in her home, her multi-million dollar home out in LA, I guess, and she's sitting around um, this breakfast bar in her $1 million kitchen with her goofy girlfriends, and she's got these monitors up in the cooking area, three different monitors where she has a famous chef, um, Jose Andres or Rachel Ray or Marcus Samuelson or people like that, who are trying to teach her how to cook a dish.
Okay.
And so they have the same groceries that the chef has delivered to Selena Gomez, and she's not a cook, so she's just prattling her way through. About halfway through, she says to the chef, Jose Andres from World Central Kitchen was
Hmm.
one. Chef, tell me about your charity. Tell me about your nonprofit. Tell me about your foundation. And then the chef would explain what they're doing from a foundation standpoint, blah blah. And my wife, who's in the nonprofit field, has been a leader of the nonprofit their entire career. She turns to me and says, "Well, you could do that." Um, so I called a couple of people that I knew who were good cooks, who were nonprofit leaders, presidents of different organizations, and I had them in. So that was a soft landing where they're great cooks. So they just come in. They're friends. So I ask them questions, and then they cook something, and we eat it. So, and then it
Yeah.
just kind of, and I got the mayor of Milwaukee to come on, and that kind of just gave me street cred all the way across because he doesn't cook. So I had to, figure
Yeah,
out.
sure.
That
But
was
I think it's fantastic, and the whole idea is to get to. I mean, you got them all: younger people, older people, that or they're coming, looking to come there. And my thing is plus the restaurants, the scene. There was one thing you had mentioned. It's something with a tin.
with the what? Oh, the city tins. Yeah.
This okay, city tin. Now we would do something like that back in the day, where we would give out actually posters.
Uh huh.
Okay, we had them printed up, and what we would do is we would have 10% off, and then I would a line, and I would write in, or my brother would write in what it was for, dinner for
Right.
two, or something like that. And that's a great feature. You know what I'm saying? To get more people out.
Yeah.
When you brought that up, I said, "Whoa, look at that!" I thought we were the only ones doing that kind of stuff, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a good. And I'm trying to look for one and see if I have one on my desk. But yeah, they just someone gave it to us when we moved here,
Hmm.
and it allowed us having no information about Milwaukee whatsoever. These are restaurants to try. So you go, "Yeah, okay, we'll try this one, and you spend $30 and you get $10 off.
Hmm.
And it became an obsession that I do it every year, to make sure I could go to all of them or as many as possible. Um, but yeah, it's a great little gadget, and they've expanded now to they're in 5 or 6 different states and multiple cities, and um, you know,
Before we move any further, I'm gonna get an idea of have the food prices going out to eat, especially in Milwaukee, have they rose uh,
yes.
obviously higher than normal, but how high? I mean, how?
Um, well, I judge food prices um, in a very un unscientific way. So I used to get a bag of groceries. If I pick up a bag, I could a bag of groceries like $30.
Mhm.
Um, Now it's closer to 50. The same. I don't know if it's the same stuff, but it's just in general. So if I have 2 bags of groceries, I'm pushing $100. Um, and some of them I refuse to buy. I look at it, I'm not paying that. No, I'm not paying it.
Right.
But one of the things you and Kevin were talking about is that we not a lot of beef, but for both health reasons and financial reasons. I just don't want to pay that level of money.
Right.
A lot of chicken, a lot of pork, and a lot of vegetarian. But almost everything is fresh. Um, having and that how that again morphed is moving from a big house to an apartment, and had instead of having a freezer and 2 refrigerators, I've got one.
One.
You can't just fill it, so you're buying fresh all the time. But it is I shop the specials. I try to buy if I see something that's on sale. I say okay, and you do the same thing. And you say
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to make a dish around this, and then you just but yeah, prices go in restaurants. I think um, the same it started to just creep. Um, but if you're going out, you you got to expect you have to pay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I just we went food shopping the other day, and I go to this place called Winco out here.
Uh-huh.
I used to go to this restaurant supply, half-assed restaurant supply, and I got 130 items. It was $441. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, it's getting worse and worse. So we've got to alter it. But I do have to say, the one restaurant that we do go out here, I usually go out and get a filet mignon with their a béarnaise sauce with it, either spinach or you know asparagus or something like that. No starch, and that's usually comes out to between the two of us. Usually comes out like $70 or $80. Okay, hasn't really gone up that much. They kept the beef prices at bay, but they also what they did was they come up with a bar menu. In other words, you sit at the bar.
Right.
They have to have the slot machines there, so you can play the slots. Drink doesn't cost you anything. Okay, I usually have my Chianti, I cut back a lot on the alcohol. Let's put it that way. And then we'll have like eggplant or shrimp or something like that. And you can walk away out of there for $35, $40. So I would recommend people going out and trying
For,
different
for
types
two or for a piece?
for two.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to go out there.
Yeah. So I mean, but that's how I look at it. And I mean, if it gets there again, over another casino over here, it's a steakhouse called Hank's. Okay. You get a ribeye for I think it's 400 and some dollars for
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy, but I don't know. Okay, moving forward, Charlie. I got a lot to talk to you about, but in the same token, I don't want to hold up too much time for you. Um,
Can I
so
just say that I'm retired, so I got nothing to do.
oh, there you go. So with the hooves, we
Right.
can carry this on.
Right. If anybody will watch.
You know what I find the more that I do this and like watching you and stuff, I see more people more and more watching it. Uh, it's interesting. People want to hear about it. I consider us two old goats, okay, that have a different outlook, okay, about like, other than my guy back here. That's get off my lawn guy, okay. We hide him every once in a while, but the idea with the younger people and the younger generation and you catering and letting them tell their stories to me is a big thing.
Oh,
Uh, and so going forward, all right, what do you have any new plans or do you have anything else that you're looking to do?
well, yes. So
I don't
first
know
of
if you
the
wanted to disclose that or not,
no,
but
I'm okay. Um, First of the year, I'm launching the um, Milwaukee Podcast Network, where I'm going to put my, it will soon to be three shows. And I can tell you about the third show in just a minute. So I'm going to put my three shows on there, and I'm going to go to other people who have podcasts in Milwaukee and say, join the network. It's going to be free. I'm not going to charge anybody, but it's
right.
just a way for them to promote their podcast. It's just another vehicle, and it'll just be a link to their show. Um, and to me, it's just a way to help promote the city, help promote other content creators, invite more collaboration. Um, so again, another thing I'm doing for free. Um, so I I am starting a third podcast. This is going to be a monthly one, and this goes in conjunction with the international um, podcasts or cooking collabs that we've been doing for 3 or 4 years. Anyway, so this is my idea. I am each month we do a different country,
Mhm.
and everybody does a different recipe. I'm going to get, and I have already lined up, I guess, 8 or 9 chefs from Milwaukee who are going to cook with me in
Right.
that particular ethnicity. So I got one Chef Gregory Leone, who's been on my show, who's got a James Beard Award. His restaurant is one of the top ones, but he's got a Venezuelan background, so he's going to cook. He wants to make Venezuelan arepas.
Look.
Um, I've got a friend who's from Copenhagen who's going to do Denmark. I've got a guy from who runs the Polish Center who's going to cook with me from Poland. So I'm doing that and lining up chefs with different ethnicities. The one that's unique is there's a Scandinavian restaurant, and we're doing Sweden, some in the summer, June, I think. And the the restaurant is called Elder and Rhyme, which is Swedish, Scandinavian name. But the chef is a good old Scandinavian boy, Jose Gonzalez. But but he's been there for a while, and I said, Jose, would you want to do this? And he said, yeah, absolutely. He said, so we can do a couple different things. So that's my new. That'll be once a month. I'll have a local chef, and I had to go to the people that run the collab and say, look, 15 minutes ain't going to do it for me. So I need an extra 15 minutes. So I need to figure out a way to
Hmm.
to get a up to a half an hour time slot. So they acquiesced to that. Um, and I'm going to be doing that as the third. I think it's called Local Chefs Cook International or something like that. I forget what.
Cool. Yeah.
So
That that right there would bring a lot more attention to it. Okay, especially you have people. that was my whole thing was to get a certain amount of people to do that type of thing. Very hard to put together,
Yeah.
especially time slots and stuff like that, and timing it. My problem was I like to spread everything out. I like to make sure that if me and you do something together, you get credit for it also,
Right.
rather than just passing the buck on. So that's I have some people lined up, but that's a pain in the butt to begin with.
Well, John Shields wants to know what's going on. So
Yeah, cool, very good. I like John. The whole idea with you starting this now, you're going to be a busy beaver.
yeah, but I'm also going to be more judicious in my time. I got a lot of travel planned for the new year. We're going to Puerto Rico for a couple weeks in January. Then we go to Florida in the month of March. Then we go to Michigan for a month or two, and then I'm going back to Italy. I'm turning 70 in August, so we're going to go back to Italy for probably a couple months in September and October.
Cool, very nice.
So, but so I've cut back on my local shows, and I don't want to do one every week. I may do 3 out of 4, and then I'll just, I need to catch my breath.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, it's a good point. I will be busy, but
you can get caught up in this right here as far as like today. Now, when we finish this, I will be making. Listen to this one, Charlie. I will be making a pork brisket.
pork brisket. Okay.
Okay. Now everybody else does it. They do it the way they would make beef. Beef and pork are different.
Right.
Okay. The names can be the same. Okay. But the way you cook it is totally different.
What piece of meat is a brisket for pork?
It's in the chest area so
Okay.
it connects to the pork shoulder and also the pork picnic.
So it's a little
Okay.
tougher cut.
It's not a little bit, but not too bad. I
Okay.
mean, you still got to cook it low and slow and that type of thing. But I'm doing it in the oven. So, but my point is you can get caught up with that because you can do the same stuff over and over and over again.
Right.
Okay, and it just becomes very boring with stuff.
That's
So
why I don't really have to think about what to do because I'm not really cooking anything. I'm having people bring food in or they're using their recipe and that's good.
it's genius. I said, look at this guy. Look what he's doing.
This is exactly how I planned it, Tom. I have to say.
It's amazing. It really is amazing that how things can turn on a dime.
Yeah.
Since I started doing the podcast and stuff like that, I had some people on it who do strict carnivore and stuff like that. My take on all of that stuff. That's why I want to bring different people. I want to switch around a little bit as far as what people eat, food.
Right.
What you go to. Kevin was great. Mama and Papa Joe barbecue. CJ was fantastic because me and him can laugh back and forth with things of how he does stuff.
Right.
But in the same without him saying anything, I can see that he cut back on the carbs. Okay, and he was making this kind of stuff and that kind of stuff. And then when I did the roasting bones, he did it. He did a couple videos on doing the same thing. So it's kind of catchy. All right. And me and Kevin were talking about how one week I'll do something pork, and then all of a sudden now he's doing the pork and pork tenderloins and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's fantastic that you can get together. I met Kevin. Kevin came out here to Vegas. I took him to a place called Bootleggers, it's an Italian bistro, and we had a great time. The maitre d at this place, okay. When I had the restaurant back in New Jersey, this guy Mark Giovi, all right, him and his parents had a place, okay, probably 7 miles from our business,
Really?
his business, great Italian restaurant, but they had entertainment there, so. Naturally, Mark. Once they sold, Mark come out here, and he's been out here ever since. So when I got there, he said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Jamesburg, New Jersey." I said, "Garvey's Pub." He went, "Son of a bitch." When I do go there, he'll send out appetizers and stuff like that kind of stuff. Camaraderie is fantastic. That's why I really consider you one of my good friends on YouTube.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
And you never know. One day I might come paddling past your house on a canoe.
Yeah, the river, Milwaukee River, right behind us. Um, so did Kevin offer to send you any of those super giant tortillas?
You know what I did, Charlie? Back in the restaurant days, they sent me the wrong tortillas and they sent me them things out. So I bitched and complained to the guy. The guy says, "Well, I'll credit you, whatever." Yeah, bullcrap. But what I did was I turned that into a win-win. I
Uh,
made bar pizzas out of them. Okay, and we sold them
Probably be
for
pretty good.
$2.50. Okay, so I mean, it worked out good. But he said to me, he said, because he got them at the same place that I shop at out here.
Uh,
There's one down there, Swamp Fun. But it was funny when he said to me, he said, "Well, I'm going to make a burrito out of that." I said, "You feed the neighborhood."
I've never seen them that big, and it's fascinating to me that not only they're out there, but he's making all kinds of videos with them too.
Yeah,
I just
I
think
mean
it's great.
they've been around for a long time. But I tell you, the pizzas were really good. Yeah. Getting back to when you were saying about doing different things. Okay, the guy from Sweden.
Uh,
Okay, when we had the bar, when we first got the bar, I was in high school. And my brother says to me, playing the drums in the band a whole bit. My brother says to me, "I'm thinking about turning this into an Italian restaurant. What do you think?" I said, "We're Irish. Lay off the scotch, will you?" Okay. But then it went rock and roll, and then we opened up as a restaurant,
right.
maybe 10, 15 years later. But the bottom line is, yeah, that would have worked. Okay. And just putting different things together. So you can't be afraid of doing something.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you when you started bringing in the younger guys and stuff like that, and listen to these people talk and stuff, that's a great idea. Really great idea. That's what sticks out in my mind with your channel.
Thank you. Fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy meeting the people, um, hearing their stories. I mean, I joke that the food is the most important thing, but I love hearing the stories because when you grow up, I've grown up in a very privileged life. There's no question. I've lived a privileged life, through now. But to hear how some of these people have overcome adversity and have overcome some of the things in life that, if was thrown at most people, they give up, and they
Mhm.
just persevere and they move through. And now they're leaders in a community, and it fascinates me to no end to hear these stories and to let them be able to talk about it and puff their chests out a little bit and say, I'm I'm on my way, and
Mhm.
I I appreciate them both coming on and tell and being not being afraid to tell their story, especially when it's some stuff that it's a little dicey sometimes. Some of the
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Well, you know what? I'm not going to let this go too much longer. I will leave a link in the description box down below about Charlie Cooking Secrets for Men, and then I'll also with his other Charlie. What days do you pump this stuff up?
Well, whenever I
Whenever.
finish, I try to get them out within 3 or 4 days. I have my process is I let it sit for a day, and then I'll watch it, and then I put in some graphics, and then I'll edit it, and then try to get. Usually, what I end up cutting out is my stupid jokes. Um, they're not really germane to the. Um, but I like I want the story to be told, but it usually takes 3 or 4 days. It just
Yeah.
depends.
See, everybody, that's why it's important to hit that like, subscribe button so you will get notified when, ring the bell when Charlie has one up. And I encourage everybody to check it out because if you really pay attention to it, you'll see exactly what he's doing of bringing these younger people to light, which any other time they would be just pushed away. And some of the food is really good that they make.
It's interesting. We've only had a couple of bad meals, and I'm not going to say anything who
No,
they.
no, no, I wouldn't.
But for the most part, a lot of people bring stuff from their culture that um, I had one guy this a couple years ago. He his remembers his grandmother making tortillas in the morning,
Hmm.
so made tortillas and then fried them, just fresh tortillas. Others have come in and talked about their background and whatever ethnicity that is, and then talk about how they remember this from their childhood. And that's another part of the story that's to me interesting, and it allows another culture to kind of seep into the story. It's not just we're not making hamburgers; we're making different things. So I appreciate it.
What was the best meal you ever had with them making it?
Of course, whatever my wife made. Um, let me see. I had
Smart man.
one of my Ricardo Diaz was a is a friend who's since retired, but he took me shopping. We went to the grocery store right down the road, and we went shopping for plantains, and he made some both two types of tostones, which are the green plantains, and then the maduros, which are the sweet plantains. So he showed me how to make those, and we made rice and beans, and we made a picas. And but we're going into the store, and he's speaking Spanish to the people because that's largely Hispanic population that goes to that store, and that was one of my fun, and it was very delicious. And I've made plantains several times based on how he showed me how to do them. So I'm learning how to do different things. So
That's the trick as the leaf blowers come past my house here. Uh, you know what's funny about that? I have the leaf blowers on Friday here in the complex where I live. Okay, and then Monday, the neighborhood behind me, and then the neighborhood on the other side of me. So I have that buzzing sound in my ears for days. Marie had said to me one time, maybe you should make a like a blooper video. Keep all the bloopers in. I said they'll throw me off YouTube. You know, I mean, just kick my ass off. Get out of here. Unbelievable. So,
well, please say hi to Marie too
yes, I will,
and
Charlie.
her channel, Meg's
Excellent.
Mysteries.
Oh yeah, I got. In the beginning now, I have to put her up on the credit because she'll stare at me all day long. You didn't mention me. I'll pay. I'll pay one way or the other. That's for sure.
No, I enjoy. I love her stories because especially when she tries to just kind of sneak in like a famous reference, and I can't think. There was one recently where it was a maybe it was a famous detective that she kind of snuck in there, and um, she said, "Oh, you're the only one that noticed that." I said, "Well, I don't know if the only one, but I'm probably the only one who commented about it." But I like hearing about those. Yeah, like again, my favorite one going way back was the one where she wove everybody into the story of the YouTube people. Um, that's one of the all time greats for me.
She has probably two folders full, probably 2 or 3 years worth of stories
Wow.
that she's. I mean, middle of the night, I feel the bed moving. Next thing I see the light on, and she's writing on paper, so she don't forget about nothing. Jesus Christ! But that's what keeps us going, Charlie. I mean, you know, um, editing and stuff. I actually like editing. I used to hate it, but now I like it. I got
It's a little tedious, but yeah,
yeah, I
it's
got I got a different. I'm trying to not be stale with things and change things up. So January, I'm going to flip things around a little bit with this podcast. I'm going to try to do just food talk with the Sunday Dinner Chef on Fridays. Maybe 30 minutes, half hour, whatever.
the Sunday Dinner Chef on Fridays that'll come out on Tuesdays.
No, it'll be live.
Oh, okay.
I'll do it live.
So the
Right?
Sunday, the Friday, and okay.
Yeah, and until I get hit with a 2x4 and wake the hell up and say, "What are you doing, you knucklehead?" You know.
Gotta keep it. It keeps us young, and that's one of the things that my friends in the building here notice. That I don't act like I'm 70 years old and just sitting back in a rocking chair. It's just I'm just a guy that's hanging out and have people come in and we have food and it's just how you end up staying young is to keep your brain working and to have a little fun.
Yeah, I mean, in the long run, okay, it's there. Like I tell my grandsons, well, whether you call me or not, at least you can click on when I'm pushing daisies up. You can click on and see pop. And then shut me off just as fast as you want. So I don't know. All right, everybody, listen. I'm going to thank Charlie. Thank you so much for doing this with me. You always looked out for me and always liked, subscribed, and everything I ever did. And I appreciate you to the fullest.
Right back at you, Tom. Thank you.
And I want everybody, please go to the description box, check out his channel, hit that like, subscribe, ring the bell. Really good. He takes care of the people that are around him, and that we're missing a lot of that these days. So, especially the younger people, you know what I mean. All right, everybody, listen. Thank you so much. Hit that like, subscribe. We'll see you next time on Tom's
All
Real
right.
Food Podcast.
Good night, everybody. Thanks.
Sit back and have a glass. Time for Tom's Real Food Podcast.